stage 2 of the creating a Canon tutorial. In this section we'll be transferring the images we've made in the last part. We're going to save these images out, load them up into 3dsMax and set up reference planes so we can start our modeling. So if you don't have the image open, go back up and open up the image you made in the last tutorial, and what we want to do first is go up to image, then go down to duplicate, and we want to just change the file name to add a underscore, then export. From here I want to go up to layer, then flatten image, and that'll collapse all the layers down. I'm going to go back over to the zoom tool, right click and go up to actual pixel size, and pressing Control and apostrophe again to turn our grid back on. So I'm just going to make a selection around the top view here. I'm going to take it one grid space to the right and 1.5 down here. Clicking to start a selection, holding shift down and going one grid space to the left and 1.5 up the top again. Going up to edit, copy or Control C, and then going file, new. Now whatever selection we have, it's actually going to automatically change the width and height to match that selection. And we'll just go up to OK, and then up to edit, paste or Control V. We want to collapse this layer down, so Control E, and then go to File, Save As, and just clicking on this file name just so we can get the name down here, and we'll change it to top. And we'll change the file format to a JPEG and press save. Okay. We're going to go through and do this for all the different views. So back onto our modeling plan, making a new selection, one to the right and one below the drawing. And the same for the top corner. Copying this with Control C, File, New, OK, Control V, and Control E to collapse that layer down. File, Save As, click on this image, changing the name to Side, save that. Press OK, back over one more time, making the selection again, Control C, File, New, OK, Control V, Control E, File, Save As, front. Okay, great, that's all our images saved out from Photoshop. So we're now going to go into StudioMax and start building our reference planes. Okay, so I've just opened 3dsMax. If you've gone through and changed any of the viewports around, the first thing you'll want to do is go up to the File menu and click on Reset, and then Yes, just to get your views looking the same as mine. After that, you'll want to come up to Customize, Unit Setup, and we want to change generic units. We want to change that over to metric, and then make sure it's on meters, and just press OK. The next thing we'll do is create a box, but we want to make sure that it's the same aspect ratio, that we drew our images out to. And the way we can do that is we can take the grid width. So we had 18 grid spaces up and down this image, and then on the side view we've got 11 grid spaces up. So if we create a box just from the create panel, just clicking right in the center of the grid here, pressing Control at the same time, we're just going to drag out the box a little bit. Don't be too picky about the size at the moment. Letting go of left mouse button and Control, and we're just going to drag up, clicking once to lock that in. And we want to come over to the right here, and we want to change our length. Our grid spaces on the Photoshop file was 18, so we're going to use 1.8 meters for the length and 1.8 meters for the width, and our height was 11, so we'll change that to 1.1. From here, right click to get off the box tool. Coming up to the move tool, I'm just going to right click on there, and I'm going to change the absolute world values to 000. I can do that by just right clicking on these numbers, and now our box is perfectly centered. From here I'm going to right click on the box to go into the object properties. I want to turn off renderable. I also want to turn off show frozen in grey, but I want to turn on backface cull, and then press OK. From here, going up to the modifier panel, I want to right click on the box in the modifier stack and change it to a editable poly. Once you've got these selections, we're going to choose the polygon selection and just click on all the faces facing the front of the camera here. So you can press Control and select multiple faces, and then just press delete to remove those. We want to then select all the faces facing away from us, so just click down here and do a drag selection, and then go down the list till you find flip. Then just click in the viewport once just to remove that selection. To get out of the edit poly selection mode, we're just going to come up here and just click once. We now want to create a material for our object. We can press M on the keyboard to open up the material editor. If you're not using the Slate material editor, you can change the modes by pressing this button. The material that we're looking for is the multi-sub object. Just double click that and it will create one in the scene. Just move that to the right a little bit and then double click on it. In here we want to set the number to 3. OK, and for each one of these slots we want to click and drag a standard material over to it. Now that we have these, I can double click on the top material, go down to maps, where it's got diffuse color, we want to click on none and choose bitmap, and let's choose our top view, and then double clicking on the next material, and we're just going to do the same thing. Diffuse color, bitmap, our side view, maps, diffuse, bitmap, and our front view. So if I double click on our sub-object material, they've got an ID of 1, 2 and 3. With our object still selected, I'm going to press the Assign Material to Selection button, and that material will now be applied to that object in the scene. The last thing we want to do in the material editor is just click on each one of these materials and press the Show Shaded Material in Viewport. If we don't do this, then you won't see your bitmap showing up in the viewport. Okay, great, so we can close this down now. And here's our object with our textures on there, but as you can see, they're all on the wrong sides. Except for the front view, that's fine. I'm going to press Alt-W to maximize the perspective viewport. The button for this is also down in the bottom right hand corner. And then just pressing the middle mouse button and dragging that down a little bit. I'm going to select our polygon selection again, click on the bottom polygon, and then scroll all the way down to the bottom of the list till I can see the polygon material IDs. I'm going to change it from 2 to 1, and from here I'm going to change the side view to 2. Okay, so that's all good, apart from our top view is facing off to the side. So I'm just going to click on this polygon, go up to our modifier list, pressing U on the keyboard and choosing UVW map. Clicking once on the stack, going to the rotation tool, turning on angle snap, and rotating the image so the barrel is facing the front. Going up and right clicking and collapsing all. Now we have our views all set up correctly. I'm then going to click on the object one more time, right click and choose Freeze Selection. Now we can't accidentally click on this object while we're modeling our object in the viewport. One last thing is, if your images don't look as sharp as the ones on my screen, come up here to the plus symbol, right click and go to Configure Viewports, and the tab up the top you want is Display Performance. Just change all the maximum values to 4096 for each one of these. Then click Apply and then OK. This is probably a great time to also save, so go up to File, Save As, and I'm just going to find where I saved my modeling plan, create a new folder for Max files, and I'm just going to call that rhinocannon.max. Save. And that's it for stage 2 of the tutorial. I'll see you in the next part where we will create the model.